This video is going to show how to do the M1 open form that are used for the mitten cuff. Now, by the way, I want you to notice if you're working on the mitten, this is going to look radically different than yours because I'm using very large needles. You were going to be using much smaller needles, so the cuff will be tighter, but I want you to be able to see it. Now, when you make an M1, and I'm going to back up just a little bit. Okay. An M1, as you know, is worked between two stitches. And what you use is the horizontal bar between those two stitches to make the M1. And they can be twisted to the right or the left, or they can be open. And we're going to be using the open form here. Now, if I am making an M1 between two stitches, it's just really easy to see. It's right there. But in the mitten, after the first round, where you're going to be making that M1 open is in a row where an M1 open has been worked before. So it's not going to look exactly the same. Now that's why I have chosen to use two different colors here so you can see it. I want to use a horizontal strand between this stitch and the stitch currently on my needle because I've already worked that stitch, so it's the next row. And I can barely see it there, okay? Now I know I've got the right thing if it tightens up the stitch to the left, okay? And then the next part of that mitten is to work a twisted knit two together. Whoops, split the yarn just a little bit. Now, this pattern is knit two, and then an open form of the M1. And sometimes it is really hard to see, and you can turn it over, particularly if it's in the same color. And so what I'll do sometimes to get that is I'll kind of dig for it, and I will go into this stitch, and I'll just kind of fish it out. Hold on. There we go. And I can find the thing if I kind of do that. Let's try that again. But sometimes, particularly when you're working this, there are 4 rows that in the same color that are repeated, and it can be hard to see. I'm going to change needles because I'm using double points. Knit, knit, and okay, here's where I want to make that. And so what I can do is I can go in to that stitch and just kind of catch that loop. That's another way I can get it. Oops. If I can't see that stitch. Let's try that again. I can go in there. 1, 2. And I can kind of go in and catch it that way and pull it up. Or if you can see it, now I've already stretched this in and out so it's easy to see. But the thing that you don't want to do which a lot of knitters do when they get to that point, is they think that this guy is what they're pulling up to make that loop. That is not the next row. That's 2 rows before. So you want to make sure that you're getting this guy. Okay. And that's the M1, oops, that is used on the mitten.